Hey, good morning everybody. Just a real quick touch-up video for you here. I get a lot of messages from people telling me, hey, we want to get to the level where you're at doing contract finishing for architectural millwork companies, cabinet companies. You know, one of the big things, I know pigmented colors, painted products are popular right now, but we run a lot of stains for the shop. One of the biggest factors with staining is not just the staining itself, but doing repairs. We run into repairs all the time because we'll finish something in the shop and then it goes on site and it gets damaged. So a big part of what we do as well is knowing how to repair damage. So if you see here, we have, I guess the installer tried to drill it out and obviously he made some damage here. So it's really important that we don't want to refinish this whole panel to try to fix it. We want to try to repair it without, you know, having to respray it or anything like that. So I'm going to show you how I approach it, show you some new techniques that you might not have seen if this is something that's new to you. And this is also something that we're going to be talking about in the class that I'm going to do on February 21st and 22nd. So this damage, it looks like they tried to install a hinge. The most important thing is now the wood is kind of raised, so I'm going to flatten it out a little bit to make the repair a little bit easier to work with. What I always tell my guys is if you can feel it, you're going to see it, and that is absolutely true. Another thing is when I see round circles on a piece, I like to do what they call dog earing it. So I'm going to make it, you know, a different shape just because it's a little bit easier to blend, and it might seem counterproductive because we are making more damage. But it makes sense once you start touching up, because you'll realize pretty quickly that it's a lot easier to hide this repair when it's not round. So dog ear it. Now the approach I'm going to take to fill these circles, you can use epoxy. I do it kind of the old school way, watching my grandpa do this for years and years, is what they call a burn-in. So I'm just getting the surface ready for my burn-in here by dog earing it. Just making it a little bit easier to work with. Now I'm going to take that sandpaper, 320, because again, I don't want to respray this. I'm going to use aerosol cans to blend it out after I do the repair. So I don't want to burn through the finish. I just want to, again, flatten everything out. So one of the main things you really need to keep in mind is when we're doing a repair, we don't want to get too dark in the repair. We want that repair to be somewhat light. Before I do my burn-in, you know, and this is something I typically forget to do from time to time, is we want to color that raw wood just to make sure that it's not very visible when we do that burn-in, and it makes it easier to hide. So I'm going to use a few different products. I'm using powders, blend-all powders with 2-minute repair. It's a little light. And I'll use some touch-up markers to kind of hide everything once we get this filled in. And again, I'm just doing this so that it doesn't show through the burn-in. So use a marker a little quicker. Alright, so let me grab this burn-in knife. Okay, so we have our burn-in knife and we have our hard fill sticks. They do sell soft fill sticks. I prefer to use the hard fill sticks just because it's what I'm accustomed to. I always keep a rag around to wipe off the excess. And This is what they call burn-in balm. So after you do your fill-in, you're gonna put burn-in balm so that you don't burn the finish around it. So with the fill sticks, we're gonna try to get as close to that color as possible. Move over to this a little bit. Now what I like to do is load the burn-in knife with the color. See how close we are. And kind of dab it into the repair. Now I'm not trying to make this perfect right this second. I'm just trying to get that hard fill in there. And then we'll flatten it all out. All right. Take that burn-in balm after we fill it, because now what we're going to do is we're going to smooth it out. So I'm going to put enough of that burn-in balm all around the area. I don't want this hot knife sitting on that finish because we can run the risk of burning it. So really important, anytime you're going to touch this surface with the burn-in knife, you want to make sure you're doing even paths, even strokes to flatten it out. You don't want to just put the knife on there and run it down. You want to do a touch and go pattern is what they call it. So we're going to kind of touch it down, get it flat, wipe off the excess. All right. And again, we use our touch a lot to just make sure we're flat. There's no voids that need to be filled in, because if there is voids, they're going to show whenever you clear coat it. All right. As you can see, the repairs are already starting to look better. Those are starting to go away a little bit. Now, what we need to do is we need to color all this in. And see, I got a little bit dark there, but that's all right. I can hide that. I'm going to start with markers. I want to use markers as much as I possibly can to try to hide all of this. It just makes it a little bit easier. I can use the blend all powders, but again, markers just make it a little bit easier. Now when I'm using the marker, I want to make sure that I'm always going with the grain. We don't want to go against the grain. And if you see that the marker is getting a little bit dark, after you touch it on that surface, just go ahead and kind of wipe it, and it'll lighten that color a little bit. I'm a little dark with this one here. Try some perfect brown. Now this repair is a little tough because we have a lot of figured grain right there. So we have to have multiple colors to try to hide it. But it's all right. Now, a lot of times you'll see me all kind of grain around the area as well to kind of camouflage it. That always helps out when you can kind of blend it in or fake some grain in. We just want to get rid of all these little scratches. I wasn't too happy with the way that color was coming out, so we can always go back. And that's the thing about touch-up, you know, you might have to do it once or twice before you're really happy with the result, but it's definitely faster and easier to do it this way than to have to try to strip the panel and refinish. Alright, so now I'm going to throw some vinyl sealer, this Mohawk aerosol vinyl sealer, just kind of see where we're at with the repair. As you can see, that looks a lot better. I am a little bit darker than I'd like to be on the repair, but you know, it's laying flat, and I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. If it is, we can lighten it. We could try to lighten it, go back with some lighter colors with a brush. You know, lighten the repair a little bit, and then I can come back into it with some darker colors. Sometimes it's helpful to have a magnifying glass around just to help you see where you're at. All right. So I think we'll leave that repair alone. Come around here. See that camera? So if you can see, you know, this repair is pretty well hidden. I think the customer will be just fine with it. And now, you know, I'll put some blender flow out to kind of make the sheen of the finish even and call it a day. All right, guys, hope this video helped y'all. I hope everybody has a great day. Again, don't forget, tomorrow I'm going to do a live feed. We're going to talk about this class in Charlotte, North Carolina. Anybody that's looking to advance their business, take it to the next level, get into contract finishing, what we're doing is something completely different. This is an introduction to wood coatings, to industrial wood finishing. So we're going to teach you all the basics of all the different types of coatings, all the different types of equipment from a third-party, unbiased opinion. So we'll talk about everything, all different pre-cats, post-cats, polyurethanes, polyesters, water-based materials from all different manufacturers. We want to know who you're using so that we can help you with the manufacturers that you were using. So anyways, hope everybody has a great day. Thanks.